Recording in progress.
All right, good morning, everyone. Let's call the court to order. Today is Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, August 11, 2023 at 3:15 p.m.
All right, thank you. All right, let's stand brief for a moment of silence and we'll have a pledge to the flag.
Please join the pledge. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, item C, under public comments. If there's any member of the audience who wants to speak to the court on business matters, please do so. Morning. Yes, sir. Come right here to this microphone and introduce yourself and give your address, please.
My name is Armando Arvizu, and I'm from the University Neighborhood Association. And I want to give thanks to Judge Felton and Commissioner Smith because I called them during the week pertaining to Mira Montes' salary. And I'm very proud to have the help in the Hispanic community. And I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Smith in the future, because, he's an extraordinary person. He wants to help the community, especially the Latino
I
community.
really didn't pay him, okay?
Yeah.
No, but I want to sincere,
First two here this morning, I noticed.
yeah, I do want to, I have highly respect for you. So that's what I was trying to do, is bring the Latino community to have a voice. And, the Latino community is growing 31% in the city of Waco. It's grown even, throughout the Texas population. And that's why we all have to stick together, and no matter what party you are affiliated, we all have the same agenda, is to preserve our family and bring the community closer together. And I have a lot of vision for South Waco. And Mrs. Precinct Justice of the Peace, Mira Montes, she's been doing a lot of things in the community, especially for truancy, because truancy is going to go pretty high this year, and, she's getting ready for it, and she wants to be a magistrate too, but she has to get the training for it. So hopefully that she can do her job properly, and hope she can work with you, daily, to understand what she's really going through in the process in the community, because we like her a lot. She's done a lot for our community within the year. So, Mrs. Miller, I hope we can continue working together, and hopefully that we can bring the Latino community and African American community together, because that's what we want. I have a lot of dreams, like what I'm gonna do there's a mural coming up, the one that was spearheading it. It's gonna be at the South Waco Recreation Center, and I spoke to Mr. Felton about this. And we have a lot of things going on. We got streets that are gonna be named Latino at the Floyd Casey project. So that's what I'm trying to do, is bring people together, and hopefully that we can work together, okay?
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, thank you so much, okay?
Thank you. All right, I'd like to go to items, let's see, first of all, on the consent agenda, recommended pulls at this time are F3A, HR matter for Constable Precinct 1, and I believe that's the only pull I have. Is there any other pulls recommended by the court? Okay, if there's no other pulls recommended, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the previously mentioned pull?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. I'd like to hold that pulled item and go right on to, under items, F2, A and B, F2B and C. This is regarding the FY '24 budget. On F2B is consideration or action on salary grievance and committee recommendations. So I'd like to call on Dustin Chapman to go over F2B1 and F2B2. Dustin?
Yes, sir. So F2B1 is regarding Justice of the Peace Precinct 2, and F2B2 is regarding Justice of the Peace Precinct 5. And I'll just kind of summarize what happened with the Salary Grievance Committee, if that's okay. So we've received 2 requests for salary grievances, one from Judge Lee and one from Judge Sanchez Miramontes. The Salary Grievance Committee met on Friday morning, August the 11th. Sheriff McNamara and Randy Riggs were absent with notice provided. In attendance were Judge Felton, who is the chairman and a non-voting member of the committee. The elected official members present were Andy Harwell, John Gimble, Bill Helton, and Josh Teetons. And the public members were Cheverly Long, Jeremy Lewis, and Deborah Smithson. For Judge Lee, his FY 2023 proposed budgeted salary was $73,890, including COLA. He had requested an increase to $77,734, including COLA. There was discussion among the committee, and that discussion was to meet in the middle, somewhere in the middle of those salaries. And Bill Helton made a motion to set the salary at $75,098, and that was then approved by the committee, inclusive of COLA, for FY '24. For Judge Sanchez Miramontes, the FY '23 budgeted salary was $73,890, including COLA. Her FY '22 salary was $75,098. She requested an increase to $77,734, including COLA. Jeremy Davis's motion was to set Judge Miramontes' salary at $75,098, and that was improved, inclusive of COLA, for FY '24. And there were 7 members present. All 7 had voted in favor, and per statute, and if 6, 7, or 8 vote in favor, that comes to the Commissioner's Court as a recommendation. And so that's what's before you today, the recommendation of the Salary Grievance Committee setting those salaries at $75,098 for FY '24.
And apparently, both were satisfied with that because they came up and thanked the committee for the consideration. So I would open it up for discussion.
I'm just appreciative of the work that the grievance committee did. I think they were very thorough. They listened. I think they asked good questions, and just thankful we had them in place.
But what does this do to does this affect the work we've done over 5 years trying to get salaries within a range? So I guess what I'm saying is if we don't know one way or the other, I would rather not take action this day and wait and make sure that Anna's not gonna come back and say, well, now we've got it skewed again. And all the work we've done in the last 5 years is thrown out the window. I just wanna make sure that this would still be in line with the variables that we consider when we set salaries.
Would you like Alan to address that? Mike's on as well.
Commissioner,
Yes?
this will be within, it actually, Judge Lee was below what our percentile is. So he was due to be raised to the 0.8 level or above. And this Judge Miramontes is at the 0.8 level. So it is keeping us within the factors that the Human Resources Department has set.
Okay.
Yeah, I support approving these today, and probably we'll do so if someone else wants to bring forth a motion in a second.
Well-
One of the things that came up in that discussion that bothered me a little bit and had nothing to do with the 2 requests here was when we were looking at comps with other counties, and 7 of the other 8 counties or 6 of the other 7 counties all pay their JPs the same salary regardless of responsibilities or anything, I don't see how those can be considered comps when there's no basis for how they do it, other than everybody gets paid the same, and we're
It's a-
using them as comps to determine whether or not we're at 0.8 or 1.2 or whatever.
So
That
that-
doesn't make sense to me.
And I agree that it's a disconnect between what each individual's doing and the pay. I think we put more thought into it when trying to figure out, numerous things. And one, obviously how much, population they have to deal with and whether there's a hospital in there or not. And the amount of production that you put out, and then tenure. So when you look at ours, one of the reasons why a couple of the folks are because the COLAs keep bumping it up. So that's addressed in the tenure side of it. Effectively it is, anyway. And, I think we put a lot of effort into trying to match up each precinct, what their volume of work is and how well they're doing the work. But I do.
And I certainly agree with you with that. I just didn't understand how that could be considered comps when their methodology obviously is a lot different than ours on how they pay their JPs. When they're all paid the same, there is no methodology. It's just, everybody gets paid the same.
That's what it's paid, yeah.
So I'm not sure how they were using those for us as a yardstick.
Yeah.
That's what was available to Human Resources, but it's always been understood that the Commissioners Court considers other items when coming to precinct officials.
I know I visited with Anna when she started the comp ratio system. And I know she ties it to, when she says the term, other market salaries. So when she's saying the market, what other counties are paying. And in looking at those other counties, I think we need a clarification. But I believe she's looking at the size of those precincts, and she's looking at the functions of those JPs, but I do want to get a confirmation. I don't want to speak on her behalf. I would hope so. I would hope that what the comp ratio is saying is that based on your population of your precinct and your quantity of work, that this is that market salary. That's what JPs who are comparable to you are earning. So we're trying to get you up there incrementally. And that being said, I'm wondering, because I thought and this doesn't have anything to do with the recommendation, I understand that standing over there, but I thought that the policy was sound, that's why I didn't have a problem with it. And the last thing I want to do is, because I've seen it happen in the past, that a personal action has an historical effect on a salary for a new incoming elected official. So her policy is sound. That last paragraph where she says it aims to keep those JPs 2, 4, and 5 at the same salary, and it gives a pathway to do that through magistration. So in doing this recommendation from the committee, will they still be allowed to have those salaries next year equal? Because I don't want to do something and historically take those individuals away from what the policy is allowing to happen for them. Like, will they still have that pathway if they do magistration to have their salary? Because I'm looking at the salary not based on the individual in there, but the position. And so we don't have this issue again, and then an incoming justice of the peace is not harmed because of an action of a past justice of the peace.
Dustin, you are on to address that.
Yes, and Commissioner Miller, you're exactly right. That pathway to do magistration for a year and then to be considered for that salary, that remains. And so that will be a Commissioner's Court decision for the FY25 budget. But yes, ma'am, it remains.
And Commissioner Miller, this is Anna. I can speak to the county comparison.
Oh.
Because you were questioning kind of the reasoning behind those counties selected. And so that list of counties is selected based on population of the county and the workforce size of that county, of that government. And so function of each of those individual counties and the functions performed by the JPs, rather, that is not taken into consideration when reviewing that list.
Okay.
I guess, Anna, I was just a little bit surprised because I had not heard before that those counties that we use for comps were all paying their JPs the same. That, to my knowledge, that had never been brought before us. Or if it was, I just missed it. So that's where I was coming from. So,
Yes, sir. The only county, I believe, who has a difference in pay among those comparable counties would be Webb.
I listened to the salary grievance committee meeting. I think it was ran well, and I want to thank the judge and the judge's office for the live stream. A lot of topics came out of that meeting, more than just the salary. And what I heard, they mentioned, like, for this function, but then I do this function, and then he may do this function, but he's not doing this function. So it was really complicated. I did hear, like Commissioner Smith, I think 7 of the 8 counties pay their justices of the peace the same. I know we've taken our JP count down from 7 to 5, and maybe we need to look at their area again. It's hard to go through the weeds when they hadn't come to us before. And I did visit with Judge Lee and Judge Miramontes because the dissatisfaction and the differences in functionality were only made clear to me on the day of the Salary Grievance Committee. But I do think it warrants a conversation into the future, going into the next fiscal year. Maybe they can talk amongst themselves, how they value what they do, I don't know. But it seems like everybody is doing a little bit of everything and different things to get all of the work done that McLennan County needs. But I think going into the next fiscal year, we do need to look at how do you make all of the JPs hold from precinct 1 all the way to precinct 5. But I know that's not in front of us, but that was just some other, y'all talked about a whole lot of stuff on that day.
Okay.
yeah, I agree. That's something moving forward that we need to look at, probably consider. But as far as Judge pushing the cart forward, and certainly still leaving it open for any discussion that needs to come forward, my motion would be to approve the recommendations of the grievance committee for Justice of the Peace Precinct 2 and Justice of the Peace Precinct 5, to approve their recommendation.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All right, any other discussion?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I would like to, I'm gonna make a comment here, and sir, I appreciate you coming in this morning. What was your name again?
Armando Aviz.
Armando, and I love what you come in and you're talking about bringing the community together, and I certainly appreciate that. I was a little bit offended by the social media comments that the JP made, that this court is oppressive to Hispanics that are seeking to hold office. That offended me. And I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine this court has ever done anything that would oppress anyone from running for public office. So while I support this, I'm still disappointed, and I would hope that you being a leader in the community, maybe you can visit with her and just share that she doesn't even know me. She doesn't know me.
I think what we're trying to do is open dialogue, because it's been happening for so long, how Latinos feel in the community, and that's what I'm trying to do, is just build bridges, and I hope that I can speak to you directly.
Absolutely, you can. The same as she could, So if if we're doing something that is found to be harmful to someone, come talk to us. But social media, all that does is get people quit using this and they start using this and emotion.
Well,
And
I'm a member of Second Missionary Baptist Church in East Waco. When I ran for Waco ISD, I ran in 2012. And I made a lot of friends in East Waco, you know, and so I like to bring people together, different ethnicities. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm speaking out here today. So
I appreciate your
I
efforts.
want to be your friend.
I appreciate your efforts.
Hey, any other discussion?
I would say this in response to Commissioner Perry, because I understand exactly what you are saying. As the only minority on the court, what I would say about when we raise issues about racism is that I don't take racism and issues of affected by racism lightly. And I think we have to be really careful when we throw that dynamic into a conversation or when we are just inclined to kind of paint a situation that way. When it came to the salaries, and one of the things I said to Judge Lee and to Judge Miramontes, again, neither one of them told me they were dissatisfied with the policy. And so when I read the policy on its face and talking with HR, I thought it was a solid policy. And I stood behind what I voted in the prelim, or I consented when we voted for the prelim budget. But there are so many issues about racism that are serious and that need and warrant our attention that I don't think we need to throw the racism card out lightly. So I do understand what you're saying, because racism was not a factor in the JP salary policy, not in my opinion.
I agree.
I agree.
All right.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
real quick. So it's up to this court how we set the salaries. And I think we do a really good job of that and take in a lot of, but it is solely up to this court. And I think that's it's not an HR decision. It's up to us to, and something that we used to look at the amount of papers that go through the system. We don't do that anymore. And I think that's something, we need to look at all those. And I thought that we had looked at all those and had a very, had made a reasonable decision. But I'll go along with what the grievance committee,
Okay.
they also made a very sound decision also. too.
Right. And I will point out that due to, the growth in the county and things like that, but other thing, the JPs as a body have decided how to handle their duties, that we have had to hire 3 part-time.
Right. That was
Associate
brought out
magistrates.
at the meeting.
Yep, and it's at a budgeted amount of 90,000. And so it's a supplement and additional cost to the overall process. That just needs to be
Good point.
focused on. Okay. All right, if there's not any more discussion, we have a motion and a second on the table. So I'd like to call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
All right, pass. Thank you. All right, now, I'd like to go to, ask Mr. Frank Patterson to come forward. That is item P1, page 16, P1.
P1.
Judge, it's
So-
authorization of regional equipment transfer memorandum of understanding with Heart of Texas Council of Governments for Woodway Communication Tower.
All right, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. So, this is simply transferring ownership. If you recall, the grant that we received to build the tower out in Woodway, which is replacing the Heart of Texas tower, came through the Heart of Texas Council of Governments. They were the fiduciary agent, and they handled all the finances for it. The tower has been completed now for several months. It's just taken a while to get the paperwork to us to transfer it to us. So once we accept it, which I don't see why we wouldn't, it becomes our responsibility, maintenance and all that other stuff that goes with it. So that's what this is to transfer that to the county.
Okay, and you're recommending we take action and,
Absolutely. Recommend, accept it.
yeah.
And if you have a minute, I'll kind of just give you an update of where we are in the process of the whole build out too.
Okay.
If it fits
All right,
this.
let me deal with this action item, and then I would like to hear that. So, what's the recommendation of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed. Yes, sir.
So where we are now is Motorola is in town today doing some programming. They'll be back with a larger group tomorrow. With everything goes well, Precinct 4 we brought online tomorrow afternoon, and it'll be up and running. The state tower build is complete. Well, I should say 99% complete. We're waiting for electrical, the meter box to put in, electric hooked up. But the state, that's on them to get that out in Precinct 3, Commissioner Jones' precinct. So that is going through its final acceptance by the state, and then equipment will be put on that tower. They are going to have to do an engineering study. There's a lot of things that were initially going to be put on that tower by other agencies that are not going to be part of the tower now, so that's going to change the loading a little bit, but we're working through that with them. And so once that's all complete, we will make the transition and move the Heart of Texas equipment to Woodway. And so we're still on track to get this done. You know, things are speeding up, so it's good. And we also have the repair to Commissioner Miller's precinct, which that was a lightning strike, not part of the build. But we had supply chain issues with that, as Ken knows about, getting parts. And so those parts are in now, which is the tabletop, the antenna amp. And so that should be going up pretty quick as soon as I get a crew to get that installed. So
So
that'll
is there lightning strike protection?
There is.
things that you can
All towers have a lightning rod on them.
Yeah.
For that purpose, to minimize impact, which honestly, it did its job. It could have been a lot worse. And we also use recommended Motorola grounding criteria, which is a halo grounding system that's in the ground itself. And the tower's grounded, all the equipment's grounded. We use actual, essentially, fuses and all the cables that come on the tower that go into the building. They're called polyphasers, but they're essentially a fuse. So if they take a lightning strike, they burn out, so they don't allow that electricity to back into the equipment. So there's a lot of lightning protection, but it's like with anything else, never 100% guarantee that it's going to work. Now, it obviously did work. It saved a lot of the equipment. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
It was just a bad strike.
yeah, okay. And Commissioner, the statement that lightning never strikes twice in the same place, that's fake news.
You mentioned some other entities that we had originally been visiting with about adding equipment, and they're not going to now. Was there a reason?
No, that was states.
That was the
people.
state that wanted it.
Right, yeah, the state building the tower. We're going to put stuff on that tower. The state's building it. So they had other state agencies that they were working with.
Oh, okay.
On their side.
Okay, on their
Not-
side.
Not us.
Not us, okay.
Right. And we had some stuff that we were talking about putting on that we're not going to put on it either. So there was several things that won't be on there. Because we are no longer going to be using the VHF voter repeater system, since all of the first responder agencies are going to be on 800. So there's no reason for us to continue to pay the maintenance and upkeep and all that of that equipment. So that's going to go away.
So will VHF go away eventually?
VHF will not go away. We're going to maintain one repeater at the Woodway Tower site for a backup, just in
Right.
case something just bad happens.
Right.
So it won't go away. We'll still maintain the license, and we'll still maintain that one repeater, but we're not going to maintain the 4 other
Right.
sites and the expense of that.
Okay.
And we shouldn't, and again, it's just one of those redundancies. We should never have, the way our system is being designed on the 800 side, we would have to lose 3 or 4 towers before it impacts us to where we couldn't function. Because we're putting everything in redundant rings.
Redundant.
Yeah, so So if one goes down this way, it passed the other way, you know, so you won't ever have a complete just severance and
Good.
go away.
What was the reasoning behind the state not, I mean, are they just, did you talk to them at all about that, or
About,
why they're not putting the equipment on?
well, I think when it started, and I don't know, just peripheral conversations, I've never asked the specific question, why not? I think when it started, there were some ideas that they would consolidate, best I could tell in our conversations with them, is that there were some ideas they would consolidate from some other locations that they're not going to do at this time.
Oh.
It doesn't mean they're not going to be on there eventually.
Okay.
It just means right now they're not going to be on there.
Makes sense.
They've got some that they actually, so, long story short, they actually own some other towers or they lease space on other towers in the county. And so it was a matter of, well, you know, if we're gonna own this one, we'll consolidate and whatever. And so, but when you do that, you have studies you have to do and coverage and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, there's more work involved. So I think that was a kind of a wish thing, and then it's like, well, we won't do it right now. Best I can tell.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
You too.
All right, I'd like to go back to the pulled item on the consent agenda, which is item E3A, and I'd like to call on Anna to discuss that.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I have a request here from Constable Precinct 1 to appoint a part-time deputy. This deputy, or this applicant is also a retiree, and so the request also includes the ability to rehire a retiree. This hire requested effective date of August 16th. The position was posted to the public and accepted applications for the required 5 days. The hire does meet the minimum requirements outlined in the job description, and the constable, Precinct 1 has ensured that the applicant meets the TQL requirements, and then HR has confirmed that the retiree does meet the minimum 90-day break-in service as well to be able to rehire that retiree. So HR does recommend approval for this hire.
Okay, well, he's a well-seasoned and good guy. I'd like to see him back in the courthouse, so. All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to go to item M6. This is regarding the November 7th, 2023 Texas Constitutional Special Election. And I'd like to call on Jared Goldsmith. Morning, Jared.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Great.
Very good. So what we have first is the order of election for the upcoming November election. It's the special election for the Texas Constitutional Amendment. We will also be contracting with several entities to hold their election here locally. What we have on here, I have the early voting dates as set out. This is what we typically do for a November constitutional amendment election. We also have the sites listed, and as most of you are aware, this list is not complete because of the changes in the law regarding the number of vote centers that we can have in the county. We will be increasing that number to 46 from the 34 that we have right now. We've been looking at many sites. We have 5 sites scheduled so far to receive an ADA assessment on them, and we're in talks with about 7 others right now to try to get to that extra 12. We're waiting to get back some word from those different sites. So anyway, if you have any questions for me regarding the sites that we're looking at, or what we're doing, or what we need to do, please let me know. One of the big concerns, of course, is whether or not these sites are going to be ADA compliant. And I have a feeling that many of the ones that we're looking at, they may have some minor ADA compliance issues. One of the big things that I would ask is from the court is maybe if we, the county, could try to help foot the bill for any of those repairs that need to be made to those potential sites. I would hope that y'all would take that into consideration. Now, I'm not looking at doing anything major, of course. I'm not looking at, repaving entire parking lots or building parking lots, but, a few of the minor repairs that maybe need to be made would be, some new signage or repainting parking lot stripes or fixing a pothole or a small ramp, something along those lines. So,
Okay,
Jared, could you point out the new ones on this list?
so on this list, they're not listed yet, but I can give you some of the sites we've looked at and what we're looking at currently. So, as I've stated, also we are going to try our best to do split the number of sites evenly between all of the commissioner precincts. So that would be 3 per commissioner precinct. So the sites I'm looking at in Commissioner 1 precinct right now would be Central United Methodist Church. That's located off of Bagby near Highway 6, Loop 340. We're talking with Beverly Hills City Hall and 7th and James Baptist Church. Within Commissioner 2 district, we have several that we've looked at, but the ones I'm trying to focus in on are the South Waco Recreation Center, the Waco Fire Station at 25th Street, and the La Vega ISD Administration Building. In Commissioner 3's district, we're looking at the Elmont Water Station out in Elmont, the First Baptist Church of Golson, and what was the other one in Commissioner 3? Oh, TSTC. We're looking at opening a site back out at TSTC. In Commissioner 4 district, the ones we've spoken with so far are St. Jerome Catholic Church, Bosqueville Baptist Church, and the China Spring First Baptist Church.
I have a question.
Sure.
Because I looked at the vote center maps where we have vote centers, and it seems that the congestion takes us North Waco out to Northwest Waco. When you start looking at Belmead and Lacey Lakeview and going out that way, it's really sparse. And so I'm trying to figure out the rationale of putting a center at South Waco Community Center and then at Beverly Hills when they're less than a half a mile away, when there are areas that are less dense as you move east.
Right. The big consideration for that was they're public buildings, first of all, and both cities have asked us to use those sites in the past. Waco's been, they've given me a pretty big push on the South Waco Community Center in the past. And even as recent as May for Beverly Hills, they've wanted to have their site back over at the City Hall.
And I would agree because I know we've always used Beverly Hills, and we moved the Beverly Hills location when you all opened up the Robinson location. And again, I'm gonna say, I don't want a site in my precinct that would be so close to another site when there is arguably a need to have that site further east. I do like the fire station location that we talked about, and I do like, like I told Dr. Shields, I was grateful that she was amenable to that, having it at the La Vega ISD Administration Building. Both of those are off main thoroughfares and easily to get to, but I would be opposed to the site at the South Waco Community Center if you're going to have a site at Beverly Hills. I think it's one of the two, because people moving east, the whole purpose, I think, the intent of the legislation is to give people access to close voting centers. That's why they're giving us more, not to put them on top of each other, but to spread them out across the county to make it easy and accessible for all citizens trying to vote in McLennan County.
Of course.
That would just be my input on that.
Sure, and that's definitely heard. We're doing our best to try to spread this out as much as possible. It may come down to where we have to do or take what we can accept, because finding these 12 sites is going to be a challenge. I know one of the reasons we're not and have not been at the Beverly Hills City Hall was due to ADA compliance issues. And those may have not changed. You know, we do have a scheduled ADA assessment for Beverly Hills, and we'll see how that turns out. But like I said, it may be one of those things where it's like, okay, this is what we have available, and this is kind of what we have to go with. I feel pretty strongly that the South Waco Community Center will, it should pass that ADA compliance. When we visited the site, it looks very close to being, I mean, on my opinion, it looks like it meets all of those ADA compliance needs. So, and we have visited other sites. I know we went out to Hallsburg ISD, which is in your district, Commissioner. But I can tell that, you know, immediately it's going to be a major overhaul to try to get that site ADA compliant. So, you know,
Even with the additional work that they did out there? Because
Yeah,
they
even
did
with the
additional
additional
work
work.
to try to address their ADA issue.
Right, exactly. So it's not just that; it's also that where in that building can we go? You know, I know the new superintendent out there. We met with him. We talked with him extensively. He gave us a tour of the entire facility, and you know, one of his big priorities, of course, is school safety and safety for the students there, which of course that should be. So really, the only spot that looked like it would really work for us, the entrance there was no parking lot, and to get to that entrance was going to be, you know, a pretty either a big hassle or is going to need a major renovation.
Perhaps we can talk further.
Sure.
The South Waco Community Center is a good location as far as the requirements to have. My objection with it, if you're going to have it at Beverly Hills, is that you can walk from one to the other. So my objection is they're too close. They're too close.
Understood.
When there's so much expansive land moving east, you haven't helped those people. And when I'm saying moving east, I'm talking about Lacey Lakeview, I'm talking about
Well, actually, we are
Belle
looking at
Mead, I'm
two-
talking about moving out further east in precinct 2. But when I say that, so
Right.
let us talk more. So today's motion will not be inclusive of approving the size. How will this come back to us so we can see where they're actually gonna be?
Right. So
No,
we're
that's a
doing-
question, that's a question for the judge.
Well, so I was going to refer you back to Jared, because it sounds like, you know, there's still some pending
Yes.
discovery that needs to be made. I know in regards to Hallsburg, he did give them the opportunity to, you know, make those fixes, and we'd look at it, but the school board questions whether, you know, they've got time to do that and all that. So you know, those things are out there pending. I doubt that Hallsburg is gonna want to do it this year, but maybe later. But I'm not speaking for them, but just in
Right.
discussions that we've been in, but, so I think.
One of the things that, if I may, real quick, regarding Hallsburg, when we talked to the superintendent out there, we did discuss him bringing that up to his school board to see if they would be interested in making those, you know, major renovations. And of course, I told him, you know, if that's possible, we could always look at going into a future election. And that's something else to consider now, is that, you know, we're trying to get in compliance with the law for this election. And finding those 12 sites is going to be the main priority. That doesn't mean that these sites are going to be set in stone forever. You know, I mean, we move sites occasionally. I mean, we were looking at moving 2 sites outside of this election, outside of these changes for this upcoming election, as it was anyway. So, because, you know, schedules change for some of these sites, situations just change in general. So, yes, we want to try to get as many in stone and, you know, make it permanent as much as we possibly can. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be something that, you know, this is the way it's always going to be and it's never going to change going forward, kind of thing.
And Jared, do we have enough equipment to handle?
We do. Yes, we do. Yeah, that was a consideration whenever we went to purchase new equipment. Was I knew eventually we were going to have to expand the number of sites. So we went ahead and purchased more than plenty. That way we didn't have to worry about something like this.
Okay.
So you're gonna bring us back a list when you have finalized the sites for the election?
So what we'll do
Like, how will
next-
we know where those sites are?
Right. So there's a couple of options. Of course, we do have to pass a notice of election. That notice of election will have all of the sites listed, and it'll be posted in the newspaper as well. It's kind of like the official, hey, this election's happening, who's holding an election, this is what's on the ballot, this is where you can go vote kind of thing. So, and of course, if y'all have any questions, you can always reach out to me as far as where we're at with polling sites, where we're looking at, you know, and I may need some pull from a few of you if there's a site that's, you know, I don't know, giving me a hard time about not accepting it. So, you know.
Right.
Jared,
Yes.
South Waco Community Center and Beverly Hills City Hall, what precinct?
Yes.
What precinct?
South Waco Community Center is
Those-
in
both-
Commissioner Miller's.
Okay.
You got Beverly Hills.
Okay, so South
Beverly
Waco
Hills
is,
is yours.
is two,
Yes.
okay, and Beverly Hills is one, okay,
Is yours.
okay.
Yeah, so it is right there near the border, and she's, you know, Commissioner Miller is not wrong. They are close to each other. One of the other considerations too is that, you know, it is separated by Valley Mills Drive. It is kind of serving two different communities in a way, and
No.
that's
No.
kind of one of the thought processes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let me clarify, follow up on Commissioner Miller's question about what are we approving today? Because there's still locations that haven't been nailed down.
I was thinking unless we have to, unless you've got a deadline of some kind, Jared, I was thinking today that we'd probably take no action and wait for you.
Actually, we do need to order this election.
The order of the election
Order
doesn't.
the election.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, ordering the election, it's not going to be finalized. If you look on the order of election, we do have a list of the entities that are planning on holding an election. Many of those entities actually will cancel their election because, you know, only the incumbents signed up for the spot. So, and there will be changes between the order of election and the notice of election. That's not unusual.
Okay, so in this, on this item, actually, we're really approving the first two bullet points. One is order of the special election, and then second bullet point is early voting dates. And it's got those in there outlined, and,
Yes.
The early voting locations, those aren't up for, those aren't up for debate, are they? Those are that's what we've always done pretty much, isn't it? Right?
Correct. Those are set in stone. None of that's changing.
Okay,
This is
so we
only
can do
election.
we can do 1, 2, and 3 bullet, but not fourth bullet.
Right. I mean, you know, you're going to have to. So when you order the election, it's kind of an all or nothing kind of thing. So, and once again, those sites are going to change. That's not unusual for those sites to change between the ordering and the actual election date.
Yeah, because you'll have a notice. You'll have a notice thereafter, just as he said.
Exactly.
It really is something you have to do all or nothing at this point. But it'll change.
So we can
Okay.
change the election day vote centers at a later date, even if it's approved today.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
all right, that
Okay.
explains it.
okay.
All right, any other questions? All right. Is there a motion to approve M6A that includes the setting the date for the special election, order of special election, early voting dates, and early voting locations, and a list of election day voting centers?
So move.
Is there a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Under M6B is authorization of Democratic Party and Republican Party election personnel. Jared?
Yeah, so this is the list of poll workers that has been presented to us by the two party chairs. This list includes the election day judges, as well as the deputy early voting clerks, once again, both approved by the two parties. I will make a note regarding the early voting site at the multipurpose community center. I know there's been some question about who's going to be the lead deputy early voting clerk during early voting out there. So for the November 2023 election and the May 2024 city school election, the lead deputy early voting clerk will be a Democrat. This is going back to our previous policy. During the primary and primary runoff elections, those are co-leaders. So there's not really one primary or alternate judge out there. During the November 2024 election, the lead deputy early voting clerk will be Republican, and the election day clerk will be a Democrat. This is following the Texas Election Code and guidance that we've received from the Secretary of State's office. So if you have any questions about any of these individuals, please let me know. I've worked with the two-party chairs to make sure there are enough people on both of these lists to include the additional, election day sites that we're going to be including. So we should have enough people as far as the judges go right now.
Okay, any questions?
I have one.
Okay.
I understand your statement about the upcoming November odd year, the 23 election, and I understand your statement about the next year May election, and those come straight from the advisory. What I don't understand is how you are, and we're not taking that up today, the personnel for the November 2024 election. That has nothing to do with today's action, does it?
Correct. I just want to make
Okay.
sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay, well, I'm not on that page because the advisory that you are referring to says that this is to be used only for the November 8th, 2022 uniform election. So I don't understand how you're using a procedure or implying a procedure for 24. If you come back with something that shows me it should be used for 2024, then I can understand. But right now, you are referring to something that the former Secretary of State said should only be used for the November 8th, 2022. And again, since it's not on today's agenda, that can be a conversation we can have moving forward.
That's fine. I will, actually, we're looking at advisory. It's number 2023-06.
Well, let me stop you right there, Jared. This
Okay.
is not
Doesn't have anything
something
to
for
do.
the agenda today. It's something we can figure out later. Today, we're concentrating on the upcoming election.
Right.
All right. So, under item N6B,
M6B.
M6B, is there a motion to approve that request?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, I'd like to go to, under items G, there's a couple of items that there's to be considered that we have, that Francis will go over on how to fund them after this, but under G1, this is under bids, RFPs, RFQs. This is an authorization of video surveillance system quote from Extraco Technologies pertaining to the Justice of the Peace Precinct 3. So I think there's a request by John Carter to defer this action. Is that right? Or Dustin?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, because we're still putting together information on that. So I'll make a motion, we defer.
Second.
There's a motion made and second. Any other discussion?
I'd just like to see us get it resolved. It's been on here for quite a while now, so I'd like to get to a finality somehow.
Well, I don't think it's anything on our end or the vendor's end either.
All right, I have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, under items G2, authorization of proposal from Lockridge Priest. This has to do with condensing unit replacement at Heart of Texas Fairgrounds Extraco Event Center, called on TJ.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We're going to defer this for one more session. We were able to go out and get a third quote on the replacement of this unit. It's come in quite lower, so we want to make sure everything's apples to apples as far as the quotes compared to each other. but also the vendor that came in low, it will put them over the 50,000 mark. So we may want to hold till October 1 and go ahead and release them. But we'll defer this one more time and we'll call for the court's next action.
All right. I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
Got a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Dustin, do you want to pick it up from here?
Yes, sir. So item G3, and we can just go ahead and finish out the category G, and then we'll
Oh,
go to
okay.
budget amendments if that's okay.
Yeah, good idea. Go ahead.
So G3 is authorization of renewal for RFP 12-014, Electronic Monitoring Services, Recovery Monitoring Solutions, formerly Recovery Healthcare Corporation. Ken?
Yes, we checked with the pertinent departments and from the responses that we got, everyone would like to continue this agreement with Recovery Monitoring Solutions. Recovery is not asking for any increases of pricing. They are requesting to replace the term sober link with breath alcohol. If the renewal is approved, the term would be from 10/1/23 through 9/30/24.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to defer? Approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G4 is authorization of subsurface utility engineering services proposal with STV for Heart of Texas Extraco Event Center, the base. TJ?
Yes, so this is directly related to the fiber loop that we're creating out at Extraco and the base facility. So 811 wouldn't come on private property to do the dig test or the surveying of the land. So this is to have a third-party vendor come in and locate those utilities so we don't tear anything up.
All right, any questions? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
All right, I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G5 is authorization of recommendation for RFP 23-015, inmate and staff meal services for jail and detention center. Ken?
Yes, sir. We received the responses from Summit, and I had Cody call us yesterday and said I made a mistake on the address for Summit. It's Sioux Falls, South Dakota, not North Dakota. I wanted to point that out. And then from Trinity Service Group, Oldsmar, Florida. This was done as RFP. We had an evaluation team that consisted of myself, Dustin Chapman, Cinnamon Alexander, and Pam Whitlock. We all scored Trinity with 100 out of 100 points. Summit received a score of 85. We would recommend that we award the inmate and staff meal services for the jail and detention center to Trinity Services based on that scoring. I will share, I did some calculations on the increase for this next year. It's going to result in about a 7% increase over this past budget year. But I also wanted to point out, Trinity also included in their offer $71,000 investment for our kitchen operations. So that's a pretty significant amount of money for there. But
Okay.
if approved,
Do we need it? The kitchen operation investment?
well, you know, always in a jail kitchen, I'm sure that there's things that can be repaired or replaced for that kind of money.
Okay.
But again, we recommend that, and if the court so allows, this contract would be basically for 3 years with renewals for additional years after that initial term.
And then one comment just to make too, Ken's been keeping us in the loop on what these amounts look like for next year. So we've already accommodated that increase in the budget. So the numbers we've been looking at include that 7% increase for next year.
And I just want to check, you did just kind of check my numbers right.
So the motion would be to approve the contract with Trinity and allow the county attorney with assistance from the evaluation team and certain personnel from the SO jail to negotiate a contract with Trinity to bring back to the court for approval.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
That
It
would be
does
my
include
motion.
that.
Is there a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Right, we can go back up to item F, budget amendments. F1's regarding the FY23 budget. Francis?
Right. Okay. So starting with F1A, these are, again, like Dustin said, budget amendments for our current fiscal year, FY23. So F1A1, we need to defer.
Motion to defer.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second to defer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
And then F1A2, this is General Fund Justice of the Peace Precinct 3. They're requesting to increase supplies by moving from repair and maintenance in their department. And this is to cover some increased cost for ink for their postage machine, as well as some additional office supplies needed for the remainder of the year.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, you're gonna go ahead.
Do you want me to? Yes.
Yeah.
And then F1B is, needs to be deferred as well. So if you want to, I don't know if you want to take those
Yeah,
deferrals.
is there a motion to defer?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
F1C, this is general fund for the 54th District Court. The request is to increase their furniture and equipment line for the attached quote, and this is to replace 3 of the jury deliberation tables in that courtroom. So the judge is requesting those to be replaced just to age and wear on those pieces of furniture. And then she's also requesting to increase language translation for the year. So again, just seeing increases there and needing that cost to finish out the year. She does have funds there in the court reporter general line item, which is what we use for transcription and substitute court reporters. And so there's available budget there.
Okay.
F1D1, this is a certification of revenue. These are proceeds from interlocal agreements with the cities of Robinson, Lorena, and Galinda for Road and Bridge Precinct 1. So we are certifying those proceeds in the amount of $109,629,000. And then we are, and so certifying it saying that it was not in the original budget. And then there's a budget amendment attached to set up a budget to match that revenue. And so Road and Bridge 1 is requesting to increase road construction materials by that same amount. F1D2 is also a certification of revenue for interlocal agreement charges. This one is with the city of Ross for Road and Bridge Precinct 3. The total there's $47,853. So again, this revenue was not included in our budget. And so attached is a budget amendment to set up budget to match that amount. And the request is to increase road construction materials in Road and Bridge 3. F1E, this is general fund countywide department. This is an additional request increase we need for the autopsies line item. And so this is our estimate here to finish out the year. So unfortunately, we see those costs rise year after year. So we are requesting to move from contingencies in the general fund. F1F, this is general fund for the elections department. They are requesting to move within their department into furniture and equipment. They'd like to purchase 12 small bookshelves and then a table. And you'll see the details attached. Jared is available if you have any questions about that request. F1G, this is Fund 401, the Permanent Improvement Fund. We are requesting to move from contingencies into the line item for the Records Building ADA project. And this is directly related to a STV invoice that you approved on the last agenda. F1H, This is our venue project fund, Fund 418. So this is a request to increase the repair and maintenance line item for the work to be done for the fiber project at the base. And this was the item, this is related to the item you just approved, G4. F1I1. This is our permanent improvement fund for the 2021 bond proceeds. This is a request to increase the line item for 415 Columbus, the demolition package. And so this increase is for work to be done to clear the area so that the power can be relocated. And you'll see attached an estimate there of what that will cost with Fitzgerald's landscaping. F1I2, this is also in that same fund, the 2021 bond proceeds. Just a slight increase to the ADA modifications line, and this is to accommodate an invoice that was approved also on the last agenda from STV. F1J. This is general fund for health services, requesting to move within that department into their software licensing line to cover an invoice from Indigent Healthcare Solutions. F1K1. This is general fund jail medical. They are needing to increase their repair and maintenance line. They are asking to move from the full-time employees line, which they have available funds due to vacancies there. And this is to cover core EMR cost for the remainder of the year. And then F1K2 is general fund sheriff's office, requesting to move within that department into professional development to cover cost for the remainder of the year. And then F1K3 is for the jail. And so this request is also requesting to move from the full-time employees line item in the jail department into the outsourced prisoner transport line. And again, that is the estimate they have to cover the remainder of the year. F1L. This is general fund JP4. Requesting to move within that department into other services and charges. And this is to cover a CTWP agreement that you approved in July. So this is the additional amount needed in their budget for this year. F1M, this is general fund maintenance of buildings. They are requesting to increase the repair and maintenance line in that department. And you'll see there the $90,000 increase. That's due to unexpected repairs to our chillers, as well as the replacement of two failed NAE control units. They are also requesting to increase janitorial services for the remainder of the year. They are accommodating some of the increase there by using their part-time pay line, but then you'll see the additional amount is coming from contingencies. And stop me if y'all have any questions or we need to call someone up. F1N, General Fund Road and Bridge 3, requesting to move within their department into tires, tubes, and batteries for the remainder of the year. F1O, General Fund IT, they are requesting to move from the Tyler Tech software line item into repair and maintenance. And it is to cover the hardware maintenance renewal from Dell that is attached to the amendment. F1P, this is General Fund 19th District Court. This is to increase their language translation line for the remainder of the year, and they do have budget in another line item to move from. F1Q, this is for Road and Bridge Precinct 2. This is a request to increase their road construction materials by moving from other various line items within that department. F1R, we need to defer.
Is there a motion to defer F1R?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
So F1S, this is General Fund Road and Bridge 4, requesting to move within that department into motor vehicle operating or fuel, and then equipment rentals for the remainder of the year. F1T, General Fund Commissioners Court Department. This is a request to move from contingencies into other services and charges, and this is to cover sign language services that are used for court sessions. And then F1U, this is General Fund County Judge Department, requesting to move within that department into furniture and equipment, and it is to purchase a printer. That was a lot, so let me know if you have any questions. I know we deferred 3 items.
What about V? You don't mind doing
F1V,
we do V?
So it's not a budget amendment, but we can,
okay, then I tried, hold on just a second.
Oh, okay.
All right, as you were saying, we have deferred. So is there a motion to approve F1A2, I believe, all the way through
F1.
F1U, with the exception of those items deferred?
So move. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
All right, F1V is Road and Bridge Precinct 3, authorization of wrecker service expenditure. Commissioner Jones?
This is for, we had to bring a wrecker out to, we had small incident out on Kirkland Hill Road earlier in the year, and ended up, we had to have a tow truck come out, and the cost is $1,500.
Okay. I'll make a
Motion to approve, please.
I'll second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
F2 is regarding the FY24 budget. Do we want to hold this until the rest of the items are taken care of?
That'd be fine.
All right, so we will drop down to item H, contracts and interlocal agreements. H1 is authorization of contract for software with EDOC Technologies for the district clerk case management software. And this item will need to be deferred again.
All right, is there a motion to
So moved.
defer?
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
H2 is authorization of interlocal cooperation agreement with City of Hallsburg for road shredding. This is the renewal of the agreement with the City of Hallsburg for the shredding of the roads approaching the trading house. It's Pavelka Drive, Summerfeld Drive, Wilbanks Drive, Kibitza Drive, and Hall Drive. And it's, the term of the agreement is for 1 year.
All right, any,
Move to approve.
all right, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No
Question.
discussion.
Is this, are we asking the city to shred for us, or us shredding for the city? That's what I wasn't sure of.
Oh, we're gonna shred for the city.
Okay.
This is the,
I know we've done it
the agreement
before.
with the park gentleman.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure of, who was doing the
Who's
shredding.
doing what? Yeah,
All right, thank you.
all right. Okay. May proceed. Did we vote on that?
No.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
H3 is authorization of road use agreement with Grand Solar Texas 8 LLC. Zane?
Yes, sir. So this is a piece of property that's located between Cotton Belt Parkway and the part of Chapel Road that's near Spring Valley Road. It's nowhere near our Bond Street project. And the road use agreement is for Grand Solar Texas 8 to put in a solar farm. And they will do a survey of the road conditions before. And if the roads get torn up, then the precinct foreman will need to keep an eye on it and notify our office so that we can go out and do a review of it. Anyway, the road use agreement's been reviewed and recommended for approval.
And precinct 4 would be, your guys would be looking at that, okay.
There's no questions. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H4 is authorization of pricing supplement agreement with TransUnion Risk and Alternative Data Solution. This is for searches reports for Constable Precinct 2. This agreement with TransUnion totals $120 a month, and they can have up to 300 transactions. And the term of the agreement is for 1 year, and it is for searches related to location, asset reports, address reports, and then comprehensive reports on individuals and businesses. And it's recommended for approval.
All right, good. Pleasure to go.
I would make a motion to approve H4.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
H5, authorization of automatic renewal for Medicare Advantage Group Plan Agreement with United Healthcare Insurance Company, including approval of premium rates for 2024 benefit plan year for eligible retirees regarding the McLennan County Group Health Plan. Anna?
Thank you, Dustin. Yes, I have your request to renew the Medicare Advantage Group Plan Agreement that we have through United Healthcare. This renewal is for plan year 2024. So that would begin January 1st of 2024 and renew through December 31st of 2024. There were changes to coverage, just slight changes, and there is a change to the monthly premium or rate retirees would pay. It's increasing from the current rate of $203.15 to $211.28. But this is only paid by those who retirees who did not qualify for the 20-year 10-year benefit. For those who do qualify for that 20-year 10-year benefit as a retiree, they still won't see a cost for this plan. So they're not essentially seeing a change to their cost for the plan. Randy with Hub has reviewed the plan, the benefit plan for 2024. HR has also reviewed it and both recommend it for approval.
All right, any questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
H6 is authorization of revised Veterans One-Stop Facility Use Agreement with Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network for the Veteran Service Office. Back in January, we had ratified an agreement for the use of this facility. It is owned by Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network. It is being provided, the office is at no cost to the county. They needed to include some language to match a requirement by the state, so that has been included in this revised agreement. In addition, the term of the agreement has been changed from a 2-year period to stating to continue indefinitely unless terminated, but we do have a 30-day out by the end of August 31st of each year. So it's been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
H7 is authorization of interlocal cooperative agreement with the city of Lorena for road work. Commissioner Smith?
Yes, this portion of Cooksey Lane, City of Lorena owns up to the middle of the road, and we own up to the middle of the road on the other side, so we're going to seal part of that, or rework part of that, and the city's asked us to do their side also, obviously. We wouldn't want to do just half of it, so we're in agreement with them, and that's what we're going to do.
All right, any other questions? Not, that's a motion.
Yes, sir, motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
H8 is authorization of data exchange addendum with Global Tel-Link Corporation doing business as Viapath Technologies. And back in 2009, we approved a license agreement with GTL for telephone services to the inmates. The SO is requesting approval of an addendum that adds access for a law enforcement tool that would be beneficial to the SO. And there's no cost to the county for the use of this tool, and it has been reviewed and recommended for approval.
All right. Any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
H9 is authorization of addendum to agreement for dental services with Dentrust Dental Texas PC for dental care for inmates and detainees. Ken?
This is a contract we've held for a long time with Dentrust to do dental work for the inmates out at the jail. We've checked with the sheriff's office, and they would like to continue this agreement. If approved by the court, this agreement would continue from October 1, 2023 through September 30th of 2024. They also provided us a long list of their charges that they charge for their services.
All right, any questions?
I guess the only question I have, Ken, is 7 just a magic number that everybody hits on as far as increase? As opposed to the actual like CPI, like, you know, we're talking about,
Well, some-
we're talking about an increase of what, 3 to 4% inflation rate, but we're getting a 7% increase from everybody?
That seems to be the number this year. On some of this, there's not a CPI.
Yeah,
So,
and I think if you look at health costs in general, they're gonna probably be in the more than
that amount.
more than 7%. So
Okay.
I noticed, I've got United Health, but not through the county, but, there's more and more switching you to generic and things like
Oh, yeah.
that. And so they're fighting it. I don't know how good that is for us folks that take that kind of stuff, but, I just take it for my looks anyway, but it's not working. But, anyhow, all right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H10 is authorization of rental schedule agreement with RDO Equipment Company for Road and Bridge Precinct 3. Commissioner Jones?
We're renting a excavator, I believe, or for some work. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H11 is regarding the United States Marshal Service intergovernmental agreement.
Hang on just a second. I had a question. How many excavators do we have in the county? Does everybody have one? Or not?
Excavator.
Yeah, excavator. Yeah, everybody got.
Functioning?
Today?
Well, obviously, that's.
Today?
Yeah.
So we have a huge culvert project that
Yeah.
requires a larger,
Much larger equipment.
much larger piece of
Yeah,
equipment.
yeah.
And so they need this for that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make, I mean,
I figured it was some reason, on size or capacity or something like that. Well, it's good that we got some good places to get that equipment. All right, I just wanted to ask. All right, go ahead, on H1.
So H11 is regarding the United States
H11.
Marshal Service intergovernmental agreement, authorization of modification of contract, and this adds $10,000, and this is actually related to ICE detainees. And this is just the way we have these from time to time where they are either allocating or unallocating funds.
Right.
David Ives is on in case there are any questions.
Okay. All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
H12 is authorization of advanced funding agreement and related resolution for bridge replacement or rehabilitation of the off-state system, the state of Texas, acting by and through the Texas Department of Transportation regarding Old Bruceville Road at South Cow Bayou number 69 structure. Zane?
Yes, sir. So TxDOT has an off-system bridge program whereby they inspect every 2 years, and they've inspected this bridge on North Old Bruceville Road, and they want to repair this bridge through an advanced funding agreement, and the county will most likely not be responsible for the construction part, since if they can get it into their system, I believe by the end of the fiscal year. And that's because of the IJA funding, federal funding that has become available recently. We will be responsible for relocating any utilities and right-of-way acquisition. Now, as far as cost, it would be the right-of-way acquisition part, but if there's any utility lines in that need to be relocated, those utility companies typically have to relocate at their cost. So the only cost would be the coordination efforts of that, as well as the right-of-way acquisition. All in all, it's going to be a lengthy progress, and the first part is to approve this advanced funding agreement with the TxDOT. So it's been reviewed and recommended for approval.
Okay, any questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve authorization of advanced funding agreement.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion, second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, I'd like to take a 5-minute recess, or as soon as everyone gets back into the spot, as long as we have a quorum, so have a recess. Dustin, you want to pick us up?
Yes, sir. So under item I, capital improvement and construction projects, I-1 regarding capital improvement project for the Cameron Park Zoo. This is authorization of an invoice related to the Education Center, Veterinary Hospital, Hostock Barn, and Penguin Exhibit. Francis?
Sure, so this is just the monthly reimbursement invoice from the city, reimbursing them for costs they've incurred for the zoo projects. We have reviewed it and it is recommended to pay.
All right, any questions? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Under item J, real estate and right-of-way and easements, J1 is discussion and/or action regarding Texas Department of Transportation sale of state-owned real property located in Bruceville, Eddy. There's a little bit of confusion on which parcel this actually is. We have received the letter dated August 2nd. We have 30 days, so I think it'd be best if we defer this. Zane, Chrissy, and Commissioner Smith, we're trying to figure out which parcel this actually is. So if we could defer it, and then we can bring some more information back next court session.
I would definitely hope that you do that. We need to know what we're getting. It's not a problem, so, all right, I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
Under item K, grants and grant proposals, K1 is our ARPA discussion. K1A is regarding the subrecipient agreement with the city of Riesel for authorization of draw request number 1. Per the terms of the agreement, funds will be released pursuant to an approved draw request that is submitted by the city to the county that is then reviewed by LAN. LAN has reviewed this and it is recommended for approval, and the draw request totals $46,282.03.
All right, any questions? What's
Do we know,
pleasure?
do we know how far along we are with them getting their new wells? Where we, I mean, are we still just in the drawings part, I guess?
I think it's,
Yeah,
go ahead, Judge, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I believe this is part of, I believe, $1 million project, so I think we are just getting started.
Just on the groundwork, okay.
Right. Okay, what's the pleasure of the court?
I move to approve K1A.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
K2 is regarding the bipartisan infrastructure law discussion and action on funding guidelines, opportunities. And Georgina Ibarra was going to be with us this morning, but she's dealing with a family issue. And so, but she is going to forward us some upcoming funding opportunities. And then we are planning to have her on either the August 29th or that first meeting in September for an update.
Okay.
We haven't.
No
gotten-
actions.
We haven't gotten a project, correct? So
Nothing. That's correct.
do we know, are there other counties and communities that are already, I mean, is it just, are they slow playing the money coming out, or are we just getting behind the curveball a little bit?
I don't know, I think at the MPO meeting, they mentioned that they were awarded some funding through that grant program.
So it seems to me that on the, on this bipartisan, there are these funding opportunities, there is these grant, it's all grant-based. So they open up every so often.
Yeah.
So,
City of Waco, I think, also
Yeah.
received funding.
Okay, okay.
And I know TLC had submitted a couple of pre-applications, and then those are the ones that are, of course, screened, and then you find out if you can submit the full application. And I believe we're still waiting to hear back on some of those, but we will have a good update from Georgina in the next court session or two.
Okay.
All right,
All right, and Judge, so we don't need any action on it today.
okay.
Moving on to item L, Department Office Specific Requests. L1's purchasing, authorization of online auction with Renee Bates, related ad and order declaring certain property as surplus and authorizing the disposition of same. Ken?
Yes, we have, this is on the auction. We have a couple of lots behind purchasing, just small items. And then on Road and Ridge 4, we have some vehicles and some equipment. If approved by the court, the auction begin on August 17th and tentatively, and then close on August 31.
Okay? You sure you want to get rid of those flip phones? They may be the backup.
That's right.
I'm saying, Judge, there's an excavator on there if you're
I
interested.
saw that.
Yeah. Actually, I was gonna say if Commissioner Jones might be interested in.
But you know
Got
what I
good-
thought? I thought about it when I saw that on there because Commissioner Jones just approved to rent one. The last time, we have one, but it, you know, it's too little to do those large, massive covert
Right.
projects. And so the last time we did the one out on Masonic, Commissioner Jones had rented that one. And before you all took it back that month, y'all let us use it, I think that last week or the last 2 weeks. We had talked about a joint fund where equipment like that, we could purchase for use by the county, you know, commissioners could, every commissioner would have access to that piece of equipment. Maybe just something to look at next fiscal year.
Okay? All right, what's the pleasure of the court on this item?
Make a motion to approve L1.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
L2, Road and Bridge Precinct 4, authorization of reimbursement for vehicle damage. Commissioner Perry?
Yes, we had a shoulder of the road issue where it fell off.
I make a motion we approve.
Thank you.
$628. Okay, it's a nickel and dime business. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Under item M, additional items, M1 is approval of order setting sheriffs and constable fees for 2024. Under the local government code, the Commissioners Court is able to set reasonable fees to be charged for services offered by the offices of the sheriffs and constables. There are 3 requested increases for 2024, and they are a stray fee, impoundment, hauling first large animal, moving from $100 to $135. And boarding and feeding large animal per day per animal, moving from 20 to 25, and boarding and feeding of a small animal per day per animal from $7.50 to $10. So we just need a motion to approve these updated fees for FY24.
All right, are there any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
M2 is discussion and or action regarding Texas Department of Motor Vehicles 2023 local optional fees as per Chapter 502 of the Texas Transportation Code. That code section gives counties authorities to impose optional fees in addition to a vehicle registration fee, and below are the 2 optional fees. M2A is regarding Clinton County Road and Bridge fee. We are currently set at the maximum of $10, and fees collected by this must be counted to the County Road and Bridge Fund. M2B is regarding child safety fee. We are currently set at the maximum of $1.50, and that was approved in court back in August of 2013. And we are at the maximum amount of both of these fees. We can either decrease those fees or make no changes. It's a decision of the Commissioners Court.
All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
What do we currently use those for? I see what it says, but what do we actually,
So it's a revenue just in the general fund.
goes back general?
Yes.
Both of them?
Yes. Wait, let me look at the.
2A and 2B?
You're talking about, 1 second, let me check 2A. Road and bridge fee. Yes, both of those go into the general fund.
Okay.
All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Go ahead.
I was going to move to approve the fees as presented.
Second.
M2A and M2B.
Yes, sir.
We have a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
M3, Heart of Texas Housing Finance Corporation, discussion and or action regarding board appointment. Jim McDermott had sent a notice that he is resigning his director president position on the HOT Housing Finance Corporation board. Just as a note, that is composed of 7 directors, 4 of them appointed by the city of Waco, and 3 are appointed by the county commissioners courts of the 6 counties that make up the Hot Cog region. So we will need to work with that group. Judge, I don't know if you have a recommendation of how you would like to move forward.
I don't, but I think we pitch it back to hot cog where all the judges meet and get them to make a recommendation. But I think, you know, McLennan County definitely needs to have a,
He's currently McLennan County, isn't he?
yes, sir.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's more housing in this area than the other counties, so. I wonder if the other board members have a recommendation. So,
We can find out.
okay, if you would, Dustin.
How often does it meet?
Quarterly, I think,
Quarterly?
yeah. All right. So,
So Judge, I think we would just need to defer today. It was more so of making the court aware and then getting guidelines for moving forward.
all right, I move we defer.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
M4 is ratification of a letter of a commitment regarding the Regional Technology and Innovation Hub program. This letter is just committing that the county will participate in these meetings. Baylor's looking to receive funding to become a regional technology and innovation hub with a focus on advanced materials, manufacturing, having to do with the aviation industry. There's no financial request or commitment from the county. It would just be either my time or whoever is assigned to meet with this regional technology and innovation hub.
Yeah. And I think with the brick and all the things we're doing here, this is important. And we're not committing to anything financially. I think it's part of, Baylor probably has to broaden the representation by including the county and the city and others in it to get the funding. So I would make a motion, we approve this ratification of the letter.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
M5, discussion and/or action regarding travel credit cards for use by the sheriff's deputies in transporting inmates. Francis.
Thank you. So the sheriff's office has a group of deputies that are specifically involved in inmate transport duties. Per the sheriff's office, just last year, about 100 trips were made out of state for this purpose. So you can imagine there's flights involved, there's hotels, of course, rental cars at times, and then, of course, many other expenses that may arise. So currently, we've been using the purchasing credit card to accommodate some of these charges, but these can be spontaneous, they can be complex, and so it's become cumbersome to always have that available there to use. Recently, we've also run into the issue where rental car companies now want a credit card that actually is in the name of the person that is going to be driving the vehicle. So of course, these deputies don't have a county card like that, and so they're having to use their personal funds, and then of course wait weeks to be reimbursed. So the solution that is being proposed is to have travel credit cards specifically for this small set of employees. It would be 4. We've had meetings with the sheriff's office, with purchasing, with the county administrator, and kind of all feel this is the best way to move in the future. Attached in your packet, we've outlined some policies, internal procedures that everyone involved is going to be expected to follow. And so it's not really a court's policy per se, but just something that internally that we'll use to make sure these cards are being used in the right way. And so how this would work is that if you were good with it, the travel credit cards would be issued in the name of McLennan County or McLennan County Sheriff's Office, and then the deputy's name. This is similar how we have purchasing cards right now. And then when a trip comes up, a purchase order would actually be done and to the credit card company, and then each line would to their best estimate, list out hotel, flight, rental car, whatever those costs may be. So that would ensure that it was budget checked, that the budget was encumbered properly, that the department approved it, that purchasing also approved that PO as well. And then, of course, once the credit card bills come in monthly, we'll be gathering all of that backup information. Very specific information would need to be turned into us per our policy, and then we would, of course, pay those bills monthly. You know, as court, of course, you have the final authority over expenditures, which is why, you know, the check run is brought to you on each agenda. You know, you have that final veto power. You could look at using a credit card as expending those funds from the get-go, even though we haven't paid the credit card bill yet. And so that's why for the purchasing cards, we bring forward charges to you, if possible, before they're made. And so just due to the urgency of these trips and that's not going to be possible for these type of expenses. If you were good with it, we would like you to approve a blanket approve the use of this card for these specific purposes. And so that would allow us to continue to move on. Of course, the credit card bill, when we pay it, that is on the check run. So you always have that final view of actually paying that bill. But that's.
Okay, I mean, I see that necessary, with this is necessary. I do know that you can, through your credit card vendors, can have a limitation on what the
Yes.
card can be used for. And so if they're doing a travel agency or a hotel or fuel, there's a CIF core, or was that, not CIF, what's it called? Anyhow, it's identification of the industry
Yes.
type, a hotel or whatever. And it's limited to that. You can't go to the grocery store. It would reject it if you tried to buy like groceries or something.
And we currently use that for the purchasing cards. So there are these charge codes that are opened up. You know, you sometimes encounter a hotel has a weird name in the word, in the title, and
Yeah.
it'll kick it back. And so we have to add those manually. And so yes, there would be a lot of safeguards on the card in place.
Yeah, I think it's,
And limits, I mean.
Yes,
It's
yes.
limited by the dollar amount that you can charge on the card, and it's limited by the merchant codes you can use that card to expend with.
okay, good. All right,
Did you say the deputy's name would be on the card?
Yes,
the county and the deputy
The
name.
county and the deputy?
yes, sir.
Cody, how often do y'all change deputies? I mean, is that gonna create
That was a question we had too. And I know it may happen from time to time.
is that gonna be a revolving door?
No,
It's
not.
possible for the change, but it seems practical to do it this way.
Okay.
Though there's always gonna be change, but I think David would maybe tell us here in a second what the turnover in that unit is. It's my understanding with the information I have, that once folks get to that unit, they stay.
Stay.
But it's not like a courthouse where they're trying to get to patrol, trying to get somewhere else. However, there's always gonna be a possibility for change there.
It is, but I'll share with you, there hasn't been a high turnover for those folks that make those trips.
Okay.
Again, it's kind of like, they're the trusted ones.
And I think it's pretty easy to add and take. I mean, it's amazing how quick these card companies can issue new cards. And I've had them overnighted to me just 3 weeks ago, where something didn't look right on my card, and by the next day, in special delivery, I had a card. And so I think that's not gonna be a problem. And you can cancel those cards. You can get online and cancel them, so.
Yes.
But you're in the Wells Fargo Hall of Fame. Almost
Flame.
got Hall of Fame, didn't I?
Yeah. I think they got mine out
Scratched and
there.
burned right there.
I owed them so much money, maybe they wanted to keep me going out of the profit center. Okay. Any questions? I think it makes sense.
Sure.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
I actually read the policy.
Moving down to item M7, discussion and or action regarding appointments to the McLennan County Park Plan Committee. This has to do with the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan update. Back in July, we approved this with scope of services with Mundo and Associates. So the next step is for the court to appoint members to a McLennan County Park Plan Committee. Mundo recommends that the committee should have one resident each from the precincts involved going forward. And so, Judge, I know you've had some thoughts about how this committee needs to look and how it should be formed.
Yeah, I think, first of all, we want to get, if we can access a grant and help supplement our cost at the park, that would be good. The requirement, like Dustin said, is to use public members. I think we have to be real conscious about who we put on these committees, because one of the things that we've done in the past, and hopefully, well, at least my opinion is we'll go in the future, that we don't create something that's a maintenance nightmare and do things that just get out of hand. So if we can get people that utilize the park, like people that fish or camp or, other recreational activities on the water, I think would be good. And I think when our committee was set up previously on the first one, there were some ideas. There was no way first of all, that we would pay that kind of money to do the improvements. And second of all, but the ongoing cost of maintaining, we'd have to have full-time employees that they're 24/7, all that kind of thing. But I think there's opportunity. So I would like to defer action until then, Dustin, if it's appropriate, to be able to put together a list and then bring it back to the court for approval. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, so we can work on that and bring it back, and Judge, I don't know if you've mentioned to the court, but we will have to meet on August the 22nd for the sale of those COs.
Yeah.
So we can either have that on the 22nd or on the 29th agenda. There is just some, we do need to get it put in place sooner rather than later, because Mundo would like to start scheduling these meetings to start taking place at the end of September. But if we can get it wrapped up in the next court session or two, that will give time to notify the members and begin scheduling meetings of the Park Plan Committee.
Yeah. Okay.
Question?
Yes, sir.
How many parks do we have?
We have one park.
Okay, so we're talking about appointing somebody then who would have a particular interest in the lake and the area
Well,
around the lake.
So the initial study on the 10-year plan looked at other sites around, and they never panned out. The only one I remember was in your precinct 1.
I remember something about that.
And the property that we were told would be available, come to find out wasn't available. So, and I think it was over near Lorena. And so, right now we've got a great park, and I would hope that we concentrate on that and get it started in the direction we want it to be, and I think it's going in that direction.
So in reality, what we really have is the Clinton County Trading House Park Plan Committee. That's what it amounts to. Because that's the park we need to focus on.
So Dustin, does it need to be, but
It does need to be broader to look at the whole county. As Judge said, that initial master plan had looked at each precinct, and then I believe there was discussion about, trying to apply for a grant in each precinct and kind of rotating through the precincts. But I think ultimately, part of what Mundo is doing will be holding public hearings and then also submitting or initiating a survey. And they'll compile all that data and bring it back to the court. And I just remembered back to the previous one, there was lots of discussion on hiking and biking trails, outdoor activities, those things. Then that will help tailor into what specific grants through Texas Parks and Wildlife. But I don't think there's anything that stops us from requesting that the trading house be the focus of our efforts or the focus of the grants going forward. But it is a comprehensive countywide look at. It's a countywide parks master plan. And it can be a wish list of sorts of what we would like to see in each area, but it's ultimately the court's decision where to focus our efforts.
right.
And I think we need to be realistic then, as the judge said.
Do we even know how many locations that we have that there's enough acreage that we own that we could do something with?
There's a few properties. There's one in particular, and Zane may remember more details than I do, that's in Belmead, Lacey Lakeview area. I think that was deeded to the county to be used for park purposes. And so that's one that we can, look at. But Commissioner, beyond that, that's something we'll have to study and look at.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll make a motion to defer.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
M8 is authorization of refund requests for overpayment of real estate taxes. The tax office has submitted the following refund requests for overpayment of taxes. And just as a reminder, it's only those overpayments or erroneous payments that exceed $2,500 that must be approved in Commissioner's Court. And that list is in your packet.
All right,
Move to approve the refund request.
Second.
all right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
M9 is discussion and/or action regarding Texas Association of Counties Risk Management Pool Claim Settlement for hail damage, including actual cash value payment and McLaren's preliminary report. This goes back to the hailstorm at the end of April. What we would like to do, we'll have a TAC representative that will be in court on August the 29th. So if it's okay with the court, we'd like to defer this. We just wanted to get this information before the court so you could review. There are some things that we would like to hear from TAC think it would be beneficial to the court, especially on the aesthetic damages and some decisions that will need to be made. So TJ, did you want to add anything today?
No, Dustin, that about covers it. I think we'll let TAC kind of give the main spiel on the 29th and go from there.
All
So
right.
we request it be deferred today, if that's okay.
Okay,
Motion to defer.
Second?
motion made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
M10's discussion and/or action regarding resurfacing striping of the Exco Event Center parking lot. There's been some discussions, and I think this may be a group discussion with Commissioner Perry, Ken, TJ, and Zane about some work that needs to be done on the fair parking lot. And just know the fair is about or less than 2 months away now, so this may be a challenge to accomplish, but we're trying to look for vendors that can do this work, and then also trying to think outside the box and look maybe to City of Waco and piggybacking on one of their existing contracts. So Ken, I don't know if you wanted to kind of touch on it a little bit more.
Well, I'll just share. I was looking through the cooperative agreements and everything that we belong to, looking for a company that could do this work at the fairgrounds. I could find one that could do part of it. I couldn't find one that could do the slurry seal. So that, and of course, that's a major component. And we already know that that's going to exceed a $50,000 limit. So either we would need to find someone that we could piggyback on their contract, or find it under a cooperative agreement, which again, I've tried. I hadn't found that yet. And I know that we've all been looking. So for us to even do like an interlocal with the City of Waco to go through all the steps, I think we would be bumping right up to time for that fair.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that, and correct me, Dustin, I believe you had a conversation with Wes. I believe it's better not to try to push this so hard that we make some mistakes here, that we just work on it, possibly even put together a bid package. And we can even put out the bid before we had the fair, but be ready to do that after the fair takes
Yeah,
place.
I agree.
And Wes, and that's right, Ken, Wes is very understanding, and he is fine doing it on the county's timeline. There are some potholes and things that Commissioner Miller, he said he's going to reach out to Precinct 2 with the pothole patching equipment machine to see if that's something that may be able to take place before the fair. But that, I think, was his biggest concern getting done prior to the fair.
All right.
We say a combination slurry seal and restriping.
It's and crack seal.
Crack seal, slurry.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Crack,
and-
slurry seal it.
Yes.
And we looked at it, it's just gonna take too long. We're still behind from last summer with this drought. And
It's a very large project.
yeah, it's a pretty good size.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So, just need to to defer it or approve, let's see, I guess we need to approve it to start the,
What, I can,
You're gonna come back with a bid package.
I'll start trying to work on a bid package.
so Dustin, we need.
I don't think we need to do anything, do we?
Judge, we can just pull it with no action and we can just,
Thank you.
Mercedes can just note that we're gonna, work on bringing a bid package back to court, if that's
All right.
okay.
Yep, that's good. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item M11, authorization of letter of support for TxDOT regarding Loop 340 expansion. There is a multimodal project discretionary grant that TxDOT is going to apply for. It's the Loop 340 expansion, safety and mobility solutions for rural Waco. This will upgrade the last undivided segment of Loop 340 to a freeway with frontage roads, and they are just requesting a letter of support from the county.
All right, it's a much-needed project.
This be 6 to 35?
This is, no.
6 to
it's,
8431 Bell Mead.
Yeah, it's the last part that's still 2 lanes.
Okay, but it would be
It's from-
going underneath Highway 6 over to
84
84 to 31. Okay,
It's,
okay.
it's like 84 to the, river. 84 to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rice River.
Yeah.
That's right. And then once,
Much needed.
yeah, and so if you go through 84 headed to I-35, it goes into a 4-lane. It's already completed there, so this is just bringing it all together. All right,
so, I was familiar with this project through the MPO and have already submitted a letter on my letterhead.
okay. All right,
So I'd make a motion that we approve this, the county's support of this project.
Absolutely. Second.
all right, have a motion second. Any other discussion? Discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, we have nothing under item N, the Americans with Disabilities Compliance Project. Under item O, McLennan County Venue Project. O1 is regarding the construction manager at risk agreement with John W. Irwin. O1A is authorization of application and certificate for payment number 4. If it's okay, could we hold this until after the budget discussion? We're just, we need to check and make sure we've received a copy that has been signed by the architect.
Okay,
Or by Walker Partners, I'm sorry.
so hold.
Yes, we can hold it.
All right,
And then that should take care of the action items. I know that the auditor salary orders are under the FY24 budget, and then we have the FY24 budget discussion under item F, and F2A. And then Francis, I don't know what order you'd like to do it, but F2C is recording of the FY24 salary orders for county auditor, assistant county auditors, and district court reporters.
Yes, so I think if we could go ahead and check off C before we get into A. And so, like Dustin said, this is the recording of the district judge orders for the auditor's office salaries as well as the district court reporters. So those are presented there for your recording.
okay. All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to accept the recording of the district, I guess what, district judges on the salaries?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Okay, so I think then if you're good with it, we're ready to go into F2A.
All right.
To go back into budget workshops.
All right, let's do it.
Oh,
Just give us 1 sec and we'll get set up. So, as we left it on at the end of, or the first day of August, you had proposed the tax rate of 0.329805, which was the no new revenue rate. We filed the proposed budget. And so now we're looking forward, of course, to August 29th. So that is the day that we will vote on both of those items, the tax rate and the budget. So since the proposed, any changes that are made, we take a vote on those and make sure that y'all are clear on what's being changed in the proposed budget. So today we have some things that we need to update you on. We have some adjustments that had to be made. And also some things that we need further information from you on how you want to proceed. And so the most up-to-date spreadsheet is on your budget workshop drive, of course. And I think it's dated 8/15. You'll see it there, the general fund. So just some things that we need to walk through today. The first thing on my list, which you already approved today, was the salary grievance recommendations. So you agreed with that recommendation. And so you'll see there in the center of the sheet, going in today, we didn't know what the decision would be. So we just have those there that increases the expenditures by a set amount. And so you've already made that decision today on the regular agenda. The next thing we need to cover is the COLA for retirees. So when the conversation ended the last time that we met, we were looking at 1%, 2%, 3%, and you all were looking at a 3% level for retirees. For fiscal year, if you did 3%, for fiscal year '24, the increased cost would roughly be $460,000. And so that is just for the 9 months, January through September of 2024. And so each year, of course, those costs, you'll see those costs moving forward for 15 years. I wanted to see if you had any other thoughts on that conversation, because we did not, of course, include any of that in the proposed budget. We just left that as is and filed the proposed.
So is it in those numbers now?
So, Judge, in the middle where it says additional increases, so kind of below the line, you'll see there's the cost, and then you'll see how that changes the fund balance there at the bottom,
Okay.
to 52.6 million.
Right.
Drops it some.
35.6. Unassigned fund balance. Right?
Say that, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, sir.
So.
Yes, sir.
We're within our range.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you'll see there at the bottom, that's 3.9 over our goal, the 33% goal, if you want to look at it as a dollar value.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
Okay.
So what was the total amount of the COLA was,
Dollar-wise, $400,000, I thought you said, retiree or?
the retiree COLA total for the,
We'll bring it up so we can see it on the screen, but the total would be 614,000. We've made some tweaks here and there, for salary changes, but about 614,000 for the whole calendar year. And so that's just,
but for the
Sorry.
entire.
the entire,
Uh-huh.
no, go to budget workshops.
Thought it was about $3 million or something like that, am I right?
It's quite a bit. And I guess if you don't mind, just sum those up. So 11.5 million. And that's the estimate, based on, estimated COLAs going forward and different things that we don't have any knowledge of yet. But, that COLA is tacked on, for the rest of the time that those retirees are receiving payments. So just like any COLA, it sticks to those amounts. And, as Ralph reminded us, this affects your rate, but you also always have the opportunity to put in lump sum amounts to help bring down that debt quicker. So there is always that opportunity as well. We've done that from time to time in the past.
Of the total cost of the COLAs for the retirees comes to that 11 million?
Yes, sir. And I think, let me clarify what I said, Commissioner Jones. So that was the total cost, the estimated cost over the 15 years.
Yeah.
But if you just made a lump sum payment today, it's right over 6 million.
6 million for
Yes, sir.
for the 3% COLA.
Yes, sir. Sorry, that was confusing when I said that.
Knowing that we're at 35.2% or somewhere, I wouldn't mind looking at one or two one-time cost items that are in the budget to where we pay it this year, it shows back up next year's revenue. Do you have anywhere other than retirement where you might recommend we look to put $1 million, $1.5 million on a one-time payment for something and then having it back into the general fund next year?
Really, I mean, I think retirement is really,
Best place.
that's really the one place that I can think of. You know, we've gotten away from really leasing anything or, we do have some lease type of agreements, but there are things we're just, it's not something that you could, like debt, that you could pay off early and save some money. So really retirement to me would be the number one place to do so.
And we looked at 1, 2, and 3, right? On
Yes, sir.
retiring.
Yes, sir. And you have to do a flat whole number,
Right.
but we can plug in any number that
Well,
you.
do you have the comps on what the difference is between them?
So,
Like what is 1 cost, what's 2 cost, what's 3
yes,
cost?
sir. So up there, you'll see there's 1, 2, and 3. And so you can kind of see, I know there's a lot up there and it's hard to see it all. We'll zoom in as much as possible. Maybe highlight, can you highlight 2024? So that line item that we've highlighted, the numbers, like you'll see there that 10,308,000 that's in column D. So that would be currently if we made no changes, if you did not do a COLA, that's what our cost roughly would be for this next year. And then if you move over to the 1%, you'll see there what the cost would be, and that would be about a $200,000 increase. And this is without making any lump sum payments. This is just affecting the rate purely. And then walking it across, it just doubles and then triples, of course. So an increased cost of $400,000 and then an increased cost of $600,000. And there's no reason either that, when you look at those lump sum payoffs that, of course, you can pick any amount that you always want to put into this plan. You don't have to stick to one of those numbers. That just is the amount that would keep the rate steady. And so.
And the 3% is what you had plugged in back on the unassigned fund balance piece.
When we had that pulled up, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Just because that's where we had left off the conversation that day.
Right. So we still had additional dollars left.
Yes, sir.
What's the consideration for 3? I mean, what's the court think?
I don't have an issue with it. I might want to look at taking $1 million out of the 35% and sending it along with it.
Additional?
Yes,
Yeah.
Additional?
Yeah, and Judge, it's always just this year. I mean, we don't have to do it next year, so.
Yeah, it's got a savings component to it when
Right.
we do that.
It does. And, and then just on this conversation, I know Dustin mentioned earlier that you'll be meeting next Tuesday. It was specifically, for the bond documentation that had to go through. But we can have a budget workshop also if you need some time to think on this as well. And then, of course, we're not adopting till the 29th. So no rush if you need to
So do y'all-
ponder this some more.
Do you recall what the $1 million against that debt saves us as a percentage? I mean, it seemed like it's, for every million, it was. well,
So-
Isn't it like a 55, 75,000?
75, right?
Yes, they have a customizer where you can plug in what you want to do, and I can do that. I'll have to log in and into the TCDRS
Okay,
portal
so
and get
we
that.
could do that
Yes,
at that last meeting before we adopted.
yes, I just couldn't remember off the top of my head, but yes, so
Yeah.
you can play with it
Yeah.
and see how it changes.
Yeah, one thing, consideration is, so what's that savings relative to what we're earning on cash, which is quite a bit higher than it was in the past. And, so, in the 5% range.
And that's why we were making those additional
Yeah,
payments.
before we
for
weren't
now,
earning,
'cause
we weren't earning any money on our
we weren't
cash,
earning
so
any.
if we can save debt service, or cost of funds. So, I mean, just looking at it from a financial methodology,
Yes.
probably the way we ought to look at it, but
And so I'll get that pulled, and then.
if it's close, I agree with what your proposal is, put $1 million against it.
But if we can
Just
earn more,
because-
right, but if we can earn more,
If it's, yeah, earn more, let's see what earn more is. And make a decision there, because just as a rule of thumb, you always should shed debt when you can.
And I can run it and then show you,
Sure,
if you
but
just
why?
paid $1 million one time, what would that would do to that total rate, that rate going forward, estimating, of course. And then we can look at those two pieces. I apologize.
It'd
I
be
don't
good to
have that
know
with me.
what our, how much we are earning and what percentage we are earning in interest on all of our,
We can get that.
I mean, I think that's.
On our
that-
pool
that
of
needs to be
money.
a part of the, that needs to be a part of the analysis.
So the last
How-
treasury report would have that, but we can get an update. But it's,
I mean,
Oh, you
there's
mean
so many
our
different-
accounts? I thought you meant
all those-
TCDRS.
All those different, there's all those different accounts
Yeah.
and different rates and,
So-
do we have an average? Is there an average?
yeah, we can get an average. On
We
it.
get a weighted
As
average.
you know, we ladder a lot of those cash investments.
But I think that's a great point, because you're gonna be paying this money out at some point. The retirees are gonna be, so if, is that interest rate with TCDRS, would that be a better bang for our buck than letting it sit until
Or
needed?
a blend of both.
Yes, yes.
The inflation's hit everybody. I mean, it's whether you're working or retired.
Well, let me,
So what is the, excuse me. just a
Oh, no,
minute.
no, go ahead.
So the debt, when we pay the debt down, besides the benefit it gives, is there any benefit on the benefits to a retiree when we pay that debt down?
no,
So it's just our cost is reduced?
yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes. Yes.
okay. And that helps the taxpayer, so.
So I can pull that scenario, I mean, if you want to take a break, if you want to come back after lunch, I just need a little bit of time just to kind of look at it and pull it. It's just kind of hard to do on the fly, but I can get that.
Yeah.
Or we can bring it back next week to you as well.
Let's do it next week.
Okay,
Is that all right with everybody? It's not a urgent deal, so.
okay. So we'll have that then packaged up and we can look at those different scenarios, lump sum payment, retirement, the different percentages and then what that looks like. And we'll have it ready with lots of different scenarios, so we'll know exactly what different amounts would do.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. I'll get that information. And tell me, am I good on time, Judge?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
And then Anna, are you on by chance?
I am on.
There were two positions that are titled crew member. They're in Road and Bridge 2 and 4. And so we have them in the proposed budget with a COLA of an amount of $39,762. I think HR's intent was something different. And so I just need her to speak on that and let us know what that amount needed to be.
So the amount that was requested by precinct 4 was $40,414. And HR had, it initially, didn't have a recommended support or support for that request, but we changed that to yes, we support that. And then we also made the additional recommendation because there's another crew member position in a precinct 2. We made the recommendation to include that position as well for increase to $40,414. Just having this position be a ladder step position towards the possibility of a CDL driver that can move into a truck driver position and then later equipment operator.
And so, and Anna, that 40,414, that would be before COLA, correct? Just to make sure we're
Yes,
on the
that
same
would
page.
not include COLA.
Okay. So up there, Haley's pulled up there, you can see in column G, there's that requested salary of $40,414. And so COLA, of course, would be added to that, and HR is recommending that, and that would affect the two positions, both positions in both precincts.
Okay.
All right. Some other things that have happened since we last met that we need to alert you to. So, you know, in the general fund, there is a line item that is the transfer to the juvenile local fund. So that, of course, funds the juvenile outside of their state grant funding for the next year. We have been made aware that there is additional state grant funding that is coming to juvenile for next year. It is to support the departments, and it's for reimbursement purposes. So it's not something that a new budget needs to be created for. It will go into their local fund and help support their operations. So that being said, we were able to decrease the transfer in general fund by $580,580. You know, even adding in that retiree COLA there, you can see, you know, you didn't see a lot of fluctuation because we had already made that adjustment to the transfer in the spreadsheet. So I just wanted to alert you to that. So that's good news. Of course, you know, with state funding, we don't know how long, you know, that will be available. And so you may see increases in the transfer in future years. But just wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
In Department 0580, it's the Treasurer's Office. We had an additional request to increase their travel reimbursement line. The increase would be $1,320. And so I'd like to know if you feel that if we'd like to incorporate that into the budget at this time, or if it's something that we need to talk about further.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I looked at the reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I saw it.
Perfect. Okay. We also, things that actually affected the amounts. In 54th District Court, we had to make a slight adjustment to their cost for EDOC. And so when we look at, we balance some of these costs between special revenue funds and general fund. So when it all comes down to it, we did have to make an increase of $1,122 just to balance them out and make sure that there was proper funding in both places. So
Was that, and I don't have a problem with it, that was because they expanded what they needed from EDOC? Or what?
it was because we did not have sufficient funds in the special revenue fund. So we had to move a portion, over to the general fund from
Okay.
that special revenue fund.
All right.
And so what we'll do is we'll compile these, and I know we need to come back to retiree COLA, you know, next week. And so we'll have those where you can vote on all of those at once, and then we'll have that as an addendum to the proposed budget. So, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And then I have a few things that I want to note that are not really, they don't affect numbers. We have some requests to change or alter slightly department names. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear and that y'all don't have any holdbacks on those. So Department 0590, they would like to, in the past, it was called the Tax Office Ad Valorem Department. So they just like it to say Tax Office Property Tax. And so that request is pretty straightforward. Department 0610, it was previously titled Tax Office Auto Department. They would like to call it Tax Office Motor Vehicle. So, again, I don't think you have any problems with them, but just want to make sure there are changes to the proposed budget. So, and then Department 1590. So that was previously the Justice of the Peace Collections Department. And so to be a little more all-inclusive, the request is to change that to the Resource Connection Department. And I know the judge's office can speak a little more on that if needed. But the staff member in that department, her title is Resource Connection Clerk. And so I think that.
And what was it titled originally?
It was JP Collections. So it was originally set
So
up as a.
she's not called collections clerk, she's gonna be called Say it again.
Resource connection. And I know Dustin just hopped on. He can give a little more insight as to
Yes.
the duties
So
there.
historically, that spot, the majority of the time was done doing the justice court collections, and that was a program through the Office of Court Administration where we were audited. That program has stopped. We are continuing to do that collection work, but that office now has varied duties from switchboard coverage to that is our mail room right now as well. So she's processing mail and then filling in for our office and doing a variety of things. So it is no longer JP collection centric, and so we tried to make it a little bit broader where she's available to assist multiple departments, and so we think the resource connection office just makes more sense.
Yeah, it's kind of I call it kind of a flex position. Been awful handy for us
Yeah.
because we already having going somewhere that we need to cover. She does a really good job.
Very good.
And then within the Highway 6 and Jack Harwell departments, so you have jailers, of course, in both, same salaries. There was some movement during budget workshops. So we moved from Highway 6 to Jack Harwell. We took some jailers and they requested deputies, so those were transitioned over deputies. And then, of course, 6 positions that hadn't been filled historically, those were pulled out funding-wise. And that was, talked about during the night pay differential conversation. So then in the end, after all that movement happened, working with the sheriff's office, they let us know that we need to take 4 of those positions and move them from Jack Harwell to Highway 6, and that's just to balance out the staff loads there. And so, again, same number of jailers, same budget, just you'll see those in different departments. So, again, just want to make sure that is all clear. Okay, software. So software, of course, is a growing cost, as we've talked about a lot this year, but there are additional requirements that we have on our accounting side. You're going to see those differently in our financial statements. They could be actually listed as assets when we convert our financial statements because you are paying a licensing fee, but you're actually paying to use that asset. And so some different requirements there, but we have the need to really pull out all of our software costs and pull them apart and put them separate. And so we've had line items, software support and maintenance, software licensing. You've seen, sometimes it's in other services and charges. So what we want to do is pull out all of the software cost and have one line that says software, licensing, and support. And so you'll see that throughout the budget. And so again, no change in the budget. It's just that we've tried to extract all those costs and put them in one area where it's easier for us to manage, it's easier for departments to manage, but also as decision makers, you can really see how those software costs are changing and over the years.
Software licensing and support.
Yes. And so just any cost associated with software we'd like to house.
Yeah.
Slick.
So, and over the years, in different departments, things get put in different line items. And so we just want to try to make it as straightforward as possible and know that you can grab all those costs out of that line. So again, and Haley's worked a lot to work with departments to find where their software costs, move them to those line items. And again, no change in the budget. It's just what line item it's budgeted in. So just something that will look different.
Okay.
And then one more thing, and I promise I'll be done. I know, of course, you had the conversation with Jared this morning about increasing the number of election day voting centers.
Right.
And so we talked through that and how that would affect cost for him. There was a decision made earlier last month about increasing the hourly rate for judges and clerks as well. So we kind of laid that out, increased number of centers. We still feel that the budget is sufficient, looking at historical trends. But just want to bring that to your attention. I don't think we need to increase the budget, but there is always the chance that it could go over a little, more than we budgeted. And so if that happened, we'd bring that to you as a budget amendment later in the year. So just want to make sure there's no other thoughts there on that. I said that was the last thing. It was not the last thing. John Carter is here, and so he wanted just to give a short update on the need of software again, and looking at an additional need that we haven't discussed as of
Okay.
yet.
John Carter, Information Technology Director. We brought to you the Sheriff's Office request for the JMS and the RMS, the Records Management System and the Jail Management System. We've talked with the vendor, talked with the Sheriff's Office, and now we've started some talks with the District Attorney's Office about the possibility of them also moving to Tyler. That came into the discussion mainly because the DA's office has a lot of interaction with the Sheriff's Office when it comes to their data. They're heavily dependent on them, and each other are heavily dependent on the other for their data needs. We've talked to the vendor. We've had a few talks. Again, the DA's office is still working within themselves to see if this is the right move for them. And so this is not a request at this point. It is a notice that we could possibly add this request to the budget. The benefits of this, of course, are the integration right away instead of waiting a year or two to have the DA's office pulled into this. Also, we're looking at least something along the lines of $136,000 savings if we did these projects together, the DA's office and the jail management system. See if I want to say anything else about this at the moment. It would add an approximately, again, this is as I said before with the other systems, this is an absolute maximum number, but it could add as much as $640,000 to our budget ask. That would be a roughly $212,500 or so to the ongoing yearly costs and approximately $420,000 to the one-time cost. Again, this is not a request at this point. Just wanted to make you aware of this in case, because we only have, 2 weeks until we decide all of this. And we will have some more information for you next week at the next week's meeting. And did you have any questions?
Well, both those departments have some source of being able to fund part of this, right?
Yes, the DA's office also has a forfeiture fund that could possibly
Yeah,
fund some of this. I will never speak for the DA.
yeah. And then, of course, the ongoing cost would be something we probably
We'd have to
end up
pick up.
picking up.
That $600,000 price tag kind of put a damper on that savings of $100-something thousand.
The option, of course, is that we integrate them in next year or the year after that possibly and have that additional $136,000 or so. So today's dollars maybe is the only thing I can offer you on that. And again, that is an absolute maximum number, the cost that I mentioned, the $640,000.
So what are they currently using that would go away, that there would be a savings there? I mean, what are they currently using that's going to go away if they go to Tyler that we won't have to pay for anymore?
Their implementation of EDOC.
So how much, I mean, there's something going away there, isn't there?
There is some savings. That is actually included as another set of EDOC costs.
It's an
I don't
add-on
know.
cost,
Do you guys
isn't it?
happen to know that there's a specific DA EDOC number that would go away eventually? I'm not sure there's a separate from the clerk. I apologize. I should have had that number ready.
But, the first year, you're gonna be paying two, right?
Right, as we implement these, when we talk about savings of EDOT going away, that 1 year you will have both costs because you need to maintain both until you've switched over.
Yeah, but, so,
So we're talking about an FY '25 savings on this EDOT cost.
so we'll need to get that number back to audit to be able to look at any changes that we need to make for the end of the year, but,
And if we can't get that today, we'll have that ready next week. when we
yeah, okay.
Have a further discussion.
So, and then John's promised to
Just for
work hard to negotiate the best deal we can get.
Yes, there will be further negotiations with the vendor, Tyler, because now you're talking about bringing 3 systems on as opposed to 2. I think we can find some savings there. We can also find some savings with our IT department doing more of the implementation than they're planning. See, they're quoting us full implementation by Tyler, so that means a lot of their people, a lot of hours. Our IT department can take on some of that work and minimize that spend when you start talking about the one-time transfer cost. Were you able to find a one-time amount?
Yeah, so for the DA, out of the general fund, $26,400 was spent this past year.
For EDOT.
For DA EDOC, yes.
Is there any correlation between like the district clerk and the DA's office through EDOC that's gonna create a problem with the district clerk if they go to Tyler and the district clerk's still on EDOC? Or there's no, that's not anything, there's no situations like that, right?
There are always integrations between the courts and the DA system. We've committed to creating those integrations. As I stated earlier, even if we had the drive and we had the funds to move everyone onto Tyler, I don't think we could handle that, and I think we'd have more of a mess on our hands than we could deal with. That would cause a lot of disruption, a lot of problem anyway. So we have to plan for those integrations in the interim before we would move. Again, none of that's been decided, so this is all a theoretical conversation. But if we were going to move the whole county, let's say, we would still have to do that in pieces. We just don't have the funds probably and the manpower, certainly. So we are committed anyway, to answer that question, we're committed to building those integrations between the Tyler and the EDOC products to make it work for everyone.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Francis, what else?
So that's all we have today. I just, wanted to keep you in the loop on what was happening, and then we'll come back to the conversation with John next week, as well as the retiree COLA. And then the things we talked through today, we'll have in a format that you can see the actual dollar changes for each of those, and then you can vote on that so that we can include that as changes to the proposed budget.
Okay. All right, Dustin, anything else?
Yes, sir. So we do need to go back to 01A. That was an authorization of application of certificate of payment number 4 for Irwin on the Area B demolition project.
Oh, yeah.
We do have the one signed by Walker Partners, who served as the engineer on the project. And Ken, I don't know if you want to share it, or if you'd like me to go through it.
Oh, I don't mind. This payment app, which it should be the very last one for the work that we've been doing at Paul Tyson, is $422,569. But part of the good news is there's $9,513 left in what was budgeted for that they're done, and that's going to be released back to us. So, and it was signed off by the Walker Partners, and so this should be good to go.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Is there a motion to approve the certificate for payment?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. What else, Dustin?
Right, and that should take care of all the action items. We did have a work session on just talking about the agenda, and back to Commissioner Jones' point a couple weeks ago on the budget amendments, and then we're approving proposals or related agreements later. We're working on a solution, working with Francis, and we'll have to reword the agenda somewhat. But when Reagan will be back next court session, so maybe we can talk about it a little bit more then. But thinking about a way to list the budget amendment and then have the quote or the agreement as a subset to that item, so the court can come to that and then discuss them both at the same time if they would like to. Just trying to find a way to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right. What else? Dustin, anything else?
No, sir.
Mercedes, we get it all? All right. Anything else to come before court? If not, we stand adjourned.